Travillian Next is a division of Travillian, a financial services specialist search and talent advisory firm. Since inception, the Travillian team has dedicated itself to enhancing the return on investment of a company's most important resource, its people.
Hello. Welcome to another great episode of Travillian Next. Very excited about today's guest. I'd like to introduce Kim Snyder, the CEO and founder of KlariVis. Welcome, Kim. Thank you very much for joining.
Keith, thanks so much for having me on. I'm super excited for our conversation.
Me too. I just really love what your company is doing. I get your emails, I see your press releases, and I couldn't wait to get you on Travillian Next to really chat about the product, how you developed and founded the company, and also kind of future plans for 2024. I know a lot of clients being signed up, a lot of community banks, even some credit unions. So very excited to kind of get your background and the mission at KlariVis to really help these smaller banks with data analytics and analysis and other products. So thank you again for joining us, and I hope our audience gets a lot out of this, and maybe you'll get a few phone calls and get a few more people on the KlariVis system. But Kim, can you give us just a little background on your experience and how you became the founder of KlariVis, and kind of what how you took that idea and need in the marketplace to the company you have today?
Keith, absolutely. I love telling our story. I think it really is one of the things that differentiates us in the marketplace, and one of the reasons why we are so successful. So I started my career at KPMG as a CPA, and I landed in banking about 15 years into my career as the chief financial officer for a small community bank here in Roanoke, Virginia. I was there for 10 years. We grew through the Great Recession, publicly traded organization, paid off TARP organically. And back in 2015, our board of directors decided to exit the bank and actually sell the bank. And I like to tell everyone that that gave me an opportunity to pursue my next chapter. Yes. Had that not happened, honestly, I think I would still be at that bank today, because I absolutely drank the Kool-Aid every single day. I loved community banking. I loved what our bank did for our community and all of those things. So I found myself in a position, really, I guess, at a crossroads to decide, what do I want to do? And I decided to start a consulting practice focused on community banks. And so as a banker myself, I thought it would have been awesome to have had a team of bankers, a consulting group, if you will, to help move projects forward when my team was, burdened or overworked or what have you, because we always ran with a very lean staff and always had more projects than we had capacity. And so that was really kind of the genesis for my consulting practice. And I was very blessed to pick up a couple of long-term clients pretty quickly, which enabled me to start hiring back some of the banking executives who had worked with me at my bank. And so for about 4.5 years, I had a team of 10 people, all of us who had worked together at the prior bank, doing a variety of projects on the consulting side for other financial institutions. And so we did things like strategic planning engagements and process improvement engagements. We ran finance and accounting for a few small banks. We set up a whole M&A niche and helped banks do the actual heavy lifting on mergers and integrations, right? Once the attorneys and investment bankers leave, that's when the real work begins. And through that experience, the data challenge just jumped. It just was everywhere we went. So we were a small community bank. We were about $900 million in assets when we sold. And we struggled with data at our bank. We had tremendous numbers of Excel spreadsheets, lots of people just writing reports manually, trying to create graphs and trends. And I really thought it was a small bank problem until I went into the consulting world and we were working with banks that were in that $5 to $10 billion asset category. And we realized that they had the same problems that we had. They were just magnified. And so because they were bigger, so they had more systems and they had more people writing reports. And it was just this crazy thing. And my team and I, the other 3 founding executives that were part of the consulting company, I can remember the day we were literally sitting in our boardroom and discussing that there has to be a way to solve this problem. This is just insane. And so that's really kind of where the idea for KlariVis was born. And we were very blessed in that we were able to recruit 6 of our consulting clients to help us build out a proof of concept. And really build that first minimum viable product. So we showed them what we wanted to do, which is what we've done, or what KlariVis is, Keith, is we bring in data from disparate sources into a common data model. We map it, cleanse it, marry it into a common data model, and then we have layered a visualization tool on top of it. We chose Microsoft Power BI as our visualization layer. We chose that for a number of reasons, which we can get into if you're interested. And so the way we provide information back to our bankers is in the form of, they log into a URL and they have these beautiful dashboards that point and click, and they can see information about their bank, about their products, about their customers, unlike anything they've ever seen before. So it gets rid of all the manual report writing that's going on inside of the organization, eliminates all of those emailed reports that the bankers are getting, that I got as a CFO of my bank, and really kind of paints the picture for the organization so they can truly make those data-driven decisions much more efficiently and effectively. And so when we explained that to our consulting clients, we had 6 of them say, gosh, that sounds like nirvana. We want to be part of it. And they helped us build that initial product. And we wouldn't be here today had that not happened. So we launched in 2020, right before the pandemic. And that was an interesting time to launch a product. But I will tell you that since the fourth quarter of 2021, our growth trajectory has just been incredible. And all the excitement that we saw in that first quarter of 2020 when we launched our product, we're realizing now that the problem still exists in banking, and we've got the perfect solution for anybody wanting to solve that challenge.
No, that's I was telling you before I hit record, I came from that world, that corporate finance world, and it was, spreadsheets and, sending emails and data coming from all over, executives asking for this, the COO wants to look at something different than maybe the chief lending officer. So I understand it's so critical and so great. And it wasn't live information. So you send the report, something could happen the next day, and it's not on that report. So to be able to, and we started using Tableau, which is similar to Microsoft BI, later on in my career, about 7 years ago. And it was great. I wasn't the one, I just loved being able to, click and go around and look at customers and look at, graphs, and not have to be the one kind of pulling the data from the repository, cleansing it. But how do you, it works with all different cores. So it takes the data. Does the bank or credit union have to do any cleansing of the data? Do you need somebody on staff who's going to, or is it just kind of automatically flowing into the KlariVis system?
Yeah, so we build an integration, Keith. We've done all the big cores, most, 18 or 19 different core combinations now inside of KlariVis. And so, and it depends on the core provider as to how we integrate. But once we set up that automated process, those files come into us in their raw format, and our team, do the heavy lifting. So in implementation, our implementation timeline is about 90 days. So we actually can get a bank up and running.
Oh, wow.
From the time we get their data to taking them live. Actually, we've done several in 45 days, to be honest with you, but 90 days is kind of our timeline, because banks' priorities sometimes get shifted around, right, during that time frame. But we do all the heavy lifting. We do all the mapping. And that's the beauty of our team, right? We're bankers. So we understand the data. We understand the data elements. We understand how the codes are used, all of those things. And so we consult with the bank during our implementation process if we see things that might not that might need attention from the bank. So for example, the dirty little secret in banking is that everybody's data is dirty, right? There hasn't been this great focus on keeping data clean throughout the years, because there haven't been tools like KlariVis to be able to leverage that data. And so inevitably, there are going to be some things that you're going to see in KlariVis once you go live that you want to go back and fix. And so here's an example of that. lender leaves your bank 2 years ago, but you haven't reassigned all of his portfolio to somebody else. And so he shows up on the officer dashboard, right? Or it's typically not on the lending side. It's typically on the branch side or the retail side. And so what's beautiful about KlariVis is when you see it, you're like, okay, I need to go fix that, right? And so you're not trying to figure out what it is you need to go fix. You and your team are able to spend your time and attention on fixing the things that really need to be fixed, and that matter and help drive
executing
business.
You could spend so much time the old way, digging into reports and running scripts or whatever on Excel, instead of a CEO or somebody being able to just click and drill down and pretty quickly go, oh, there's the issue.
Exactly. Right.
How do we fix it? So a lot more time spent on execution, I would say, is key.
No, that's exactly right. And one of our big differentiators, Keith, when we built the system, we intentionally include customer data in it. And so, right. So we put the security controls around it. We are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. We've invested all the resources to make sure that happens, because as a former banker, I knew I was always frustrated having a system that I could almost get to the answer I needed. But then I had to go log into another system to really kind of figure out the final answer, right?
And then so do those systems talk and
exactly. So
and it's the data's live, right?
It's a nightly feed.
Nightly feed. Yeah. So the CEO can log on in the morning, drinking Starbucks, and kind of look at what happened overnight. And you can set up the dashboards. Like I said before, the CEO might want to look at something different than the CFO. So you can set up your dashboards to be personalized to what you want to see, right?
It kind of works that way. So it's not customizable in that fashion. So the beauty is that they're out of the box dashboards, right? So they're absolutely pre-built. The bank doesn't have to learn how to build dashboards in Power BI or do anything like that when they buy KlariVis. But because we have the different filters and we utilize different functions within Power BI and that our team has built themselves, if a CFO and a CEO and a branch manager can all look at the deposit portfolio summary, and they can all look at different things by pushing a few buttons and get to what they want to get to. That's the beauty. You don't have to have 5 people writing 5 different reports that kind of have the same information on it. It's all one platform. Everybody is looking at data the same way. And that absolutely changes the culture, and it changes the communication inside of the organization.
Exactly. Efficiency, quick efficiency, jump on a call, say, hey, I saw this, what's going on? The other person can jump in there, and you're all looking at the same data, which is great.
Yeah. Here's a perfect example, Keith. Back in March when SVB collapsed, right? There's been a tremendous focus on deposits already for the past year, but obviously much more intense focus during March and April and May and since then. And I actually had one of my CEOs call me that they had just gone live not too far earlier, and we have a deposit balance change report that shows the customers and the balances, that how they change on a daily basis. And he came in and he logged into KlariVis, and he saw a large long-term customer had moved a lot of money out of the bank last night. He picked up the phone immediately. He called the branch manager, the relationship officer, and said, hey, are you seeing this in KlariVis? And she said, yes, I am. He picked up the phone, he called the customer, he went and visited the customer the same day, took his financial statements, showed him that they're not SVB, they're a sound community bank, and all the money moved back the next day.
That's incredible. And you wouldn't be able to do that without that data that you would figure out 2 weeks later. You'd be running around trying to figure out why is there a hole.
Trying to figure out hair on the fire.
Yep. We see a hole, what happened? Instead of, it's this customer, go talk to them, get in the car, go over to them.
Right.
And that's the beauty of community bank. You can do that.
The beauty of
you understand
banking.
Your customer, you can drive to them. And that's so crucial. Community banks are sitting on just an oil field of data, but they never knew how to tap into it. 10 decades, 100 years of data sometimes. Customer data analysis, and what you can do with that data, being a fan of that, customizable products for customers. You can have different sales techniques, or it all comes down to what are you looking at? What are the trends? What are these customers doing? Do you understand your customer? And that's why, the great companies like Apple and Amazon, it's all about data. It's, everything is about data. And that's how they, hit you with new products or get feedback or follow up. And people feel like you're really known by these companies. Community banks are fantastic because they know you, but now you can dig even deeper into that data and see the trends. Oh, you're growing. Look at the pace that you're growing. Maybe you need a line of credit. Maybe you need a loan. Maybe you need this to be predictive. It was always predictive
Exactly.
analytics. What's going to happen instead of being reactive. And that's crucial because
Mhm.
I hear from clients and customers who, bank with the big banks, and, they're getting emails about, college loans, but their kids graduated from college,
Right.
15 years ago. It just makes you
Right.
feel like, do you even know who I am? So,
Right.
and with data comes those type of relationships that you can talk just on a different level with your customers. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, the key, Keith, is really getting the data in the hands of the folks that are serving the customers and getting it into a digestible format. So they're not having to spend all of their time sifting through Excel spreadsheets or reports and trying to piece the puzzle together. For them to just be able to come in, if you're a KlariVis customer, and you can pull up and you can look at whatever customer you're going to see, and you can see their total relationship with you, their trending, what's been happening, all of that stuff, and have a conversation about the
Yep.
customer and about how you can serve them better, rather than the employee spending all of their time doing all of that work that is just futile, really, because
Yeah.
it's just complicated to try to put it together if you don't have a platform like KlariVis. And I always tell our bank clients, it's not your fault. It's the technology stacks. The core systems
Yeah.
are built on 1970s or earlier technology. They are
Yeah.
not built to be business intelligence systems. They process transactions really well,
Mhm.
right? They do payments really well in some instances, but they're not business intelligence systems. That's not what they do. And so that's really been a big handicap for community banks in the past. But with a solution like KlariVis, they don't have to be handicapped any longer. They can
Yeah.
compete with the big boys and on the same playing field.
And it's great. I said this before, it's built by bankers. You're a banker. You understand the issues, compliance risk, what type of data, bankers are looking at compared to another industry. It's really customized for community banks and credit unions. And
That's right.
I think you said you're coming close to 100 clients.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's great. So how is it, with the growth? What are some of the issues you think banks are going to have going forward? Different data issues that might be an issue in 24 or beyond that, KlariVis is always going to be helping with.
Yeah, the biggest data issue that community banks have today is data accessibility. So
Yeah.
it's getting to the data from all the various systems, right? And so a lot of the vendors out there, they have API connections that the bank has to pay for. They can't get all the data in an automated nightly fashion, and so that's one of these things that I'm really kind of trying to change the tide on, in my opinion, right? Anytime you buy a piece of technology, if you're a community bank, you should make sure in your contract is an automated nightly data feed. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be the API connection. Give it to me in a CSV file. It's the bank's data. They own that
Yeah.
data. It's their customers. And it hasn't been a focal point in the past, Keith, because again, there haven't been tools like KlariVis to be able to do anything with
There was
that
no
data.
option.
There was no options for
Right.
them to how to leverage it, but now there is. And I would say that, any bank that's out there negotiating a core contract renewal or digital banking renewal, the newer, digital banking providers, the Q2s, the NCRs, the Apertures, Alchemies, they have data feeds that they provide back to their banks. The banks have to subscribe to it, but they can get the data. Whereas the core providers just do not do a good job with that. So,
Yeah.
if you're looking, at renewing any of your contracts or anything along those lines, I don't renew contracts. That's not what I do. But if you're interested in leveraging a tool like KlariVis, give me a call. I'll happily talk to you about the things that you need to make sure are included there.
Yeah, so crucial. As you were saying before, especially with the speed, like deposits, the speed of deposits leaving the system, coming into the system, to be able to get a hold of that every morning and be able to look at it and feel confident and get ahead of it is crucial. And not being looking back and say, what happened with this customer, 2 weeks,
Right.
a month later. Um, yeah, and then off of that, you can just build reports and trends. It's fantastic, and I just love what you're doing. Um, no, this has been a great conversation. So, any advice for community bank executives going into 2024 around data modeling, or I would say just call you.
That's
A good
right. Of
that's a
course.
good piece of advice. Yeah,
Yeah,
call you.
that's exactly what I would say, Keith. And
Mhm.
here's why. So been a big push for community banks and all banks to create, their own data warehouse, right? And work on consolidating all of those data sources. And that's number one, expensive work and heavy
Yes.
work for a community bank to do.
Yep.
Okay. But number two, I can't tell you the number of clients that we have that have gone through that exercise. They've spent 3 years doing that exercise, and they still can't get the data in the hands of the end users because all they've done is spend all their time building this data warehouse. And so
Yeah.
that visualization layer, or that to deliver the data, disseminate the data, democratize the data, and get it in the hands of your decision makers, get it in the hands of your employees. In our platform, you're right, we're close to 100 banks today, and the average number of users inside of a bank across our entire platform, and we have banks as small as 80 million on our platform and as large as 8 billion today, right, is 77. That's a big number.
Wow.
So it's not just the CEO and the CFO using KlariVis. It's the branch manager, and it's the lenders, and it's the credit team, and it's the controller in the organization. It's everybody. It's the risk officers, because and they're all seeing data the same way. And so now the conversation is about why. It's not about what,
Yep.
because everybody's looking at information the same way, and it's just a game changer in the industry. So yes, if data is on your strategic plans, please give me a call. I love to have those conversations, and I'm excited to do that.
No, that's fantastic, and congratulations on the rapid growth of your company. A lot of momentum heading into 2024, and I know you're very busy, so I thank you for your time today, Kim. And
Thank you.
yeah, give Kim a call if data's on your 2024 or future future list of initiatives. I haven't seen a better company out there for community banks than KlariVis, and built by bankers for bankers. It's fantastic. So thank you very much, Kim. Have a wonderful holiday season, and look forward to seeing continued growth at KlariVis.
Awesome, Keith. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.